Hello guys, and welcome to a Star Wars Destiny gameplay video that is a different format than usual. Zach and I are going to be playing with our hands exposed. We call it the all-in format. We're going to try it out, and this is a thing that we do when we're playing some test games a lot of the time to basically just kind of get your mind wrapped around what it's like to understand the tools and the options that your opponent has. So if you find yourself often playing a game and then you're like, well, they always had the answer to what I was trying to do, that's because you're usually not playing with those things in mind, with what they might be doing in mind. And that's kind of the next step up for new players and experienced players alike. Start thinking through those kinds of options. So Zach's playing Han Rey.
That's right.
A deck that you just won the Covenant Tulsa monthly tournament with.
Yep,
so
very first.
I guess it's pretty good. I'm playing a much stranger deck that I've been working on for about a month now, Dooku and Phasma, which you're like, okay, that's weird. And it started out as a...
You don't have any non-uniques.
Yeah,
how are you going to leverage
Phasma's blank. It's like,
ability?
Phasma's blank except for her die. So I was looking at running a deck that could have some teeth to it and be on the attack, but also could play to the discard theme if needed. That's a good way to handle a lot of the more like weird control decks, just get those cards out of hand. Or if the game goes late, which it often does, and you know nobody's damaged, then you can start chucking cards. So before we dive into this, we are announcing a couple of new things here, which are very exciting for us. First is that we are launching booster box subscriptions. So our subscription service has been running for what, 4 or 5 years now?
More than that, 6 or 7.
A long time,
Yeah.
been through a lot of iterations. It's really, really good. So basically, if you sign up, we will send you product for what you signed up for whenever it releases. It's essentially like a pre-order, except you don't have to pay up front.
I was going to say one of the biggest parts is that you just
great.
sign up, and then as new sets come out, boxes will just automatically come to you, and you won't pay for it until much closer to release than having to pre-order months in advance just to guarantee you get product.
Yeah, and sometimes not even guaranteeing your product, as we've seen. So a subscription, you sign up however many booster boxes you want. Whenever a set comes out, right as soon as it releases, we'll ship those products to you, and then you can have them and not have to worry about tracking them down every time a new set comes out and those kinds of things. We've also got Saga sets for Spirit of Rebellion have launched, and those are a kind of continuation of what we did for Awakenings, where you can get every card in the set all in a complete package. So check those out if you need to just get all of the cards and don't want to deal with the booster boxes and those kinds of things. And we also have singles coming up as well. So we're going to dive into the singles market. If that isn't done by the time this video goes up, it will be happening very soon, and it probably already is.
And it's important to note too on the Saga sets that they're very limited.
Yes.
There's only a certain amount of them that can even possibly be made or produced. So
Absolutely.
If you want to guarantee you get all the cards, jump in on that.
That's a good way to do it. And then finally, we're using our Saga tokens, a token set that we designed for compatible with Star Wars Destiny here on the table today. So, is that everything?
I think that's everything. So
Shall we dive in?
You kind of mentioned what your deck wants to do. I want to mention what my deck wants to do.
Oh yeah. Let's see, what does Han Rey want to do? I gotta tell you, that's why this die is here. It wants to break the game, Zach. We're gonna track your actions right here.
Okay, I was like, why do we have a D6 on the board? I was confused. But Han Rey really seeks to leverage Rey's ability, which is every time you play an upgrade on her, you get another action. So she's quicker just by her nature, but if you play an ambush upgrade onto her, you actually get the extra action, plus the ambush action doesn't cost you an action, so now you have 2.
Net an action then.
Yeah, so that effect lets you activate a character and then immediately resolve the dice, not giving your opponent the chance to control your dice before spending them. And then of course Han gets a shield every time you play an ambush card, so very naturally they synergize in that I'm wanting ambush attachments on Rey, Han's getting free shields, and it's just really obnoxious.
A lot of discussion on this too, because you have Han who's using guns, you have Rey who's using melee. There's some moments where I can't resolve my modified gun sides, but Rey's showing melee damage. So it's really kind of saying that Rey's ability is strong enough to have a little bit of anti-synergy with Han's damage type, and that's what I'm doing on my side as well. I don't think it's all that important, to be honest with you, but we'll see.
I don't either, and I think Rey's die gets a lot of critique, and I've seen that come across everywhere about it being weak, and I'm just not convinced. I actually think
it's 12 or 9 points.
It's so cost effective
for an ability.
But honestly, the crazy part about it, like you mentioned, if her die only had the 2 resource sides, like the resource and the plus resource, I would still play Rey.
Yeah, just for the ability.
If it were half blanks, I would still play Rey. That's how good it is. And hopefully we'll see that here in this game when I brutally crush Steven's soul.
So we're going to run this down very properly the whole game. So if you're a new player, stick around. It's going to be great for you to kind of see how things resolve. And as I said, if you're a more experienced player, this is a good way to start thinking about how to play with the risk of what your opponent might have in hand apparent.
So I
And
shuffle
we're
my
gonna play
deck.
around that, by the way. We're not gonna know what's in each other's hands, but we're gonna show it, but not
But it
know
lets you get in the mind of your opponent, right?
show
And
it, but don't know it.
That's really important. So I've shuffled my deck. I'm going to reveal my top 5. And as I do that, I would like to know what are you looking for in your opening hand?
Well, let's talk through this then, Zach, since it's gonna be that kind of a video. So the thing that I fear most about a Han Rey deck is Han Rey going first, and then they roll Han in and crush my 2 resources, leave me with no resources.
That can slow you down.
That can slow every deck down significantly. So I'm looking for things like Sith Holocron that are gonna let me get in upgrades for free, and I'm not always looking for Sith Holocron, contrary to popular belief. But in this matchup, I definitely am, and also Enrage is going to be a big one for me.
It's a good card.
Guarantee a resource if I need one. And
Being
then
able to get to 3 on that first turn, you get to play a 2 cost and maybe a 1 cost, or a 3 cost.
hold on, let me just roll
Flip
this
them over.
out here.
Oh my word!
So
look at that, as if magically they floated to the top. Now, see, you are missing the blue upgrade ability, though, right?
yeah,
So
always.
currently, Sith Holocron, while it's a free attachment that could provide a focus or an additional resource, not exactly
great here, but I have a couple of promotions which are going to get me 2 more opportunities to get blue abilities, but I could also just take an opportunity right now and get rid of one. So I like this spread a lot.
That's a really strong start.
Yeah, this first option is going to let me, if I get to go first, I can get a resource out of hand, making Han's ability less good. I can still play the Holocron if you do disrupt my resources, and I can maybe get a blue ability.
And the Enrage is going to speed you up. It's a good card to start with. And even if all you get to do is put those 2 attachment upgrades into play on the first turn, that's a pretty productive
okay.
first turn. So
I'm going to chuck 2 back for the Mulligan.
on my side of the fence, the most ideal card to start the game with is a Holdout Blaster.
And you don't have it.
It's 2 cost, it's ambush, so it gives me a shield on Han, it gives me 2 actions of the Rey so I can roll in. The second card I'm looking for is Jedi Robes, which I did draw. So I'm going to definitely keep Jedi Robes, and then there are a couple other cards to walk through. Second Chance, it's a 1-of in my deck.
You don't want that
That is
first.
really good late game. I do not want that right now. Mind Trick, I am not going to be saving resources to play Dice Control anytime soon. This is for once I have 2 or 3 upgrades on the board and I'm kind of rolling and I can just upgrade through Rey's upgrades instead of having to like literally pay them. So that's also going to go. A Lightsaber, again, I want to see this when Rey has 5 to 8 damage on her. I can replace this upgrade, make sure my upgrades don't disappear. And the DL44, this is a harder card to throw away. If I do play the Jedi Robes on Rey, get the first turn 2 shields, roll her in, if I can get a resource, now I can actually upgrade into this on top of the Jedi Robes.
Yeah, and it has ambush. So it's kind of like a super holdout blaster.
It is a super holdout blaster, and it's a better die, and it's all that. The thing about that, though, is with Starship Graveyard, that's actually a really strong play because I want to get an upgrade into my discard pile because then I can put Jedi Robes back on top. And the next turn, I can put another shield back into play onto Rey. So this, it's questionable. So the thing about this is I so desperately want holdout blaster. I have 2 holdout blasters and another DL that I feel mulliganing the extra card makes the odds of me getting either this back or a holdout blaster even better. So I'm going to mulligan 4, keep the Jedi Robes.
All right, well, let's see what I ended up with here. Another Holocron,
That's
usually not
Wildcats.
great, and a lightsaber. So no blue ability, but that is the way that it happens. And
That's not awful, honestly.
It's not awful. And if I'm playing you with a closed hand, right? Me putting out 2 Holocrons
so threatening.
could be scary. A lot of times I'll just put out the 1 because I don't want them to kind of recognize that I don't have a blue ability.
Yeah.
So it's like if I play 2 Holocrons a promotion, then it's like, well, the chances of him having a blue ability, maybe not so much. So you got to play it close.
You can enrage up to a lightsaber if you need the resource. Like,
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
A lot of good,
All right,
good opportunities.
let's see what I get. You want to cut, by the way?
No. I don't think we're cheating here. Ooh,
I like
jetpack's
the
good.
jetpack.
Oh, look at this money in the bank.
It just keeps getting better.
Data pad.
And the illustrious second chance.
All right,
back,
that's good.
Back
I'm
from
okay
the grave.
having that over there. That's a dead card for you.
Now, you'll notice I have 0 events in my hand.
Yeah,
That is very common in this deck.
it's great for me.
You know what I don't want to do?
Great for you.
Spend time doing anything but playing upgrades. All right.
We
so
did our mulligan.
we have our
Shall
hands?
we roll off?
That's right.
So you take all your starting character die, roll them up,
Woo!
and let's see what we've got. So I've got, let's just count them out.
3. Wow. Well,
Three in there.
I have 3 on Han,
Well, I think you'll
2
be
more
okay.
on Han, and 1 on Rey, and a resource. Now, if those were the die I rolled when I rolled in,
You'd be on top of this.
I would be so happy. It won't be, as you will see shortly. But in that case, I win the roll off. I will choose Jakku. We will venture to the Starship Graveyard, and you,
I
my
get 2
friend, will get
shields.
2 free shields, however you like them.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice for me because you really don't want Dooku to die early. He's harder to kill, but it can be done. So I'm just going to do 1 and 1. I like to make you choose the more attractive target there.
Okay.
So I get my 2 shields for losing.
And the
Let's
spaceport
eyes these
will
out of here.
peace out. All right.
And Jakku is on your side.
And so just so you're aware, I have the battlefield to start the game. So if anything references, as long as you control the battlefield, whoever started the game with it does actually control it. You ready?
Yeah, show me the money.
All right, well, so this is one thing I've seen. Obviously, Han Rey decks going around, people build it, and they're still not sure on
The order.
the order of things
Yeah.
to do. And so a lot of times what I'll see is they'll do the Jedi robes, and then they want the holdout blaster out. I am a fan of the exact opposite. So I'm going to play the holdout blaster on Rey.
All right, so let's track this. So that costs you 1 action. And then you
Two resources.
get 1 for ambush, and then you get 1 for Rey's ability.
And because it's ambush, Han will get a free shield.
All right, so you now have 2 actions to spend.
All right, then my next action will be to immediately replace that with the Jedi robes, because I can't have you tactical mastery into rolling a guy and discarding a card out of my hand. I would rather gain the 2 shields here.
So you spend an action going down to 1, and then gain an action for Rey's ability. So
the Jedi
that's
robes
back
give
up to 2.
Rey 2 additional shields.
Ugh,
Go ahead and get
started
my
the game.
Jedi robes. And that is the ideal opening for this deck. Better yet is also having a jetpack.
I think you do.
Yeah, I do have a jetpack because when it comes down to it, I can put a jetpack onto Rey, roll in, and potentially do a significant amount of damage.
Absolutely.
Depending on what Han rolls here and whether my opponent controls my stuff. So in this case, the 2 real options are roll Han in. I have another action to spend. So if I roll the disrupt, I'm going to crush your resources before you even start.
Yeah, thanks.
Or roll Rey in to start building resources and try to get a jetpack on Han before he goes.
Good choices.
It's a difficult choice. If I have the jetpack, I actually tend to lean towards opening with Rey. Only one of Han's side is disrupt, so the odds of me rolling one of these as a disrupt is only about 1 in 3.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and activate Rey.
All right, activate Rey. That is a single action. So you still have 1 left. This is the problem with this deck. I will not be able to control these die whatsoever, and got the resources like a champion.
So you'll see what I rolled there. And I have 1 action left, as you were saying. So I will go ahead and spend the Jedi robes and Rey's die to collect 2 resources, which will pay out.
Okay, so what this essentially looks like is Zach starts the game basically with the Jedi robes in play and 2 shields. I mean, because you're back to 2 resources, like you didn't spend any money at all.
Yeah, I have 3 shields on the board.
Ugh, it's a disaster.
And I have a die sitting there.
Okay, so now over to me. Now I get to take my action. I have a couple of lines here that I'm looking at. The first line is play a promotion onto Phasma. That's going to get me a card draw, potentially get into some control effects, an event of some kind. It could also get me into a blue ability upgrade, which would make those holocron plays a little bit stronger. My more consistent option is enrage into a lightsaber. The problem with that is if I enrage, Zach goes ahead and takes another action and maybe stacks up on Rey, goes ahead and cracks those 2 resources off of Han's die. I'm back to square one with 1 single resource. And then it's a bit questionable. So,
because on the chance maybe I have the DL or another holdout, I could upgrade this to a DL and immediately take 2 actions with Han, right?
And then Han and disrupt. So I've got to kind of play around that. So I like to go options first. So I'm going to go ahead and pay 1 in action.
She's promoted.
And that's going to give me promotion. So I'm going to put my die here, and then it says that after I play it, I may draw a card.
And that's another enrage. Wow, resources for days. So that also, to me, makes the disrupt play much less appealing.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm only going to get 1, and you're going to have 3 upgrades out at the end of this round at minimum.
Absolutely.
Which is good.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm back up, and now I have to make a pretty tough choice. I can either roll Han in, I can play a data pad on Rey or Han, probably Han, or I can upgrade him with a jetpack. The problem with the jetpack is his highest damage side gusts a resource.
Yeah.
So if I'm wanting to lay down some damage on this turn, I'm effectively, if I spend the 2, blanking one of my sides, which I'm going to do. So I'm going to upgrade Han with a jetpack.
All right, no big deal. No secret actions, no special sauce here. Not a problem.
And that's my only action. Just cruising.
Okay, well, so I'm looking at this. I still need to play around that disrupt, and that could be an issue for me.
Yeah, because you don't want to spend a card and lose your shield to get a resource to just lose it.
But you look at the other options here. I potentially still have that lightsaber play ahead of me, and I would love to do that at the end of the turn once you've kind of gone through all of your stuff and then surprise lightsaber, potentially a
damage.
bunch of damage on
Oh, yeah.
Rey, which I particularly like. And so I'm going to just kind of freak you out a little bit here. And I'm going to go holocron here.
Which I really, really dig.
And so by playing the holocron there, Zach, seeing a handful of 4 cards, probably thinks, okay, there's a blue ability in there somewhere. I've got to worry now about this blue ability coming in on Phasma, bouncing back, going over to Dooku. So that might affect the way that you play. And since I don't have that, I want you to play like you think that I do.
Yes, that is.
So I'm gonna make it happen.
And now the other part of this too. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll Han in. And
Okay, take an action, roll on.
one of the things too is with this deck, I'm actively trying to get you to play your control cards.
Yeah.
I want you to spend your resources on controlling my dice, because that means you're not going to be using them to roll dice in with holocron or build your board. But don't be afraid to get your dice on the pool with Han Rey.
All right, show me the money.
Nope.
Okay. That's good. So because this is the thing about Han Rey too, you have a couple of cards left because you spent a lot of time chaining things out. So your ability to actually reroll is somewhat limited. Now I want to try to make that even worse for you by potentially rolling some discards with Phasma, and I could potentially get some resources here too. So I'm going to go ahead and activate Phasma.
Here she comes.
Guns, melee, and a special. And I like seeing that special because if Zach does have control in his hand, a lot of times he'll think about maybe trying to disrupt that.
Because that could easily be a mind probe or a force throw, even a mobilize or force choke. So I don't have any control.
You sure don't. I know it.
Second chance, a card that's probably not going to come into handy for some time now. Most of my opponents go after Rey first to get her ability off the board. So I'm going to go ahead and discard it to reroll. And we're going to reroll the blank ski on Han.
Holding that disrupt? That's a good question. See, because I'm like, I kind of would love for that jetpack to stay on that disrupt side, but I also don't want to lose a resource. It's kind of a hard choice.
Yeah, I think I leave it on the disrupt side because the odds of me rolling at this point are 1 in 3. No, you know what? I reroll it because I have a resource showing with Han. I'll keep that. I have a 1 in 3 chance to roll damage here. If I get the plus damage side here, it could be a metric load of pain.
It could be a lot of pain. And I am currently out of exactly that.
So
literally exactly that.
As I mentioned, now I have a 3 damage showing with Han and a 2 on the jetpack. Now that said, I am going to have to waste time here. I'm going to have to use one of Han's dice to get a resource. And then you could potentially remove the die that is showing the damage. I don't know if you can or not. It doesn't look like you can. Which will mean a pretty strong start for me, but we'll see how that pans out.
Okay, so since I know that you're going to have to waste that time, I think I like these options, and you're going to want to use Han to do both of those things. So I think I can start on the Enrage path at this point.
The route. And you know, Jakku's or Starship Graveyard's on the board, so something like that second holocron is a great discard here to not even have to take a damage on.
So I'm going to play Enrage, and then deal 1 damage to one of your blue characters to gain a resource. I'm going to do that, so I'll gain a resource. But
money.
Captain Dooku, or Mr.
Captain Dooku.
Before this character has dealt 1 or more damage, you may discard a card from your hand to give him a shield. So I'm going to discard this extra holocron, give him a shield, take 1 damage, gain a resource. So I just straight up gain a resource. It's one of my favorite things to do with Count Dooku there.
Anything. All right, mine?
Yep.
I will go ahead and spend one of Han's die to gain a money.
All right, gains a money.
My galactic credits.
And now it's over to me. I think I still stay on this Enrage play, but I know that means I eat 5, potentially 6 damage. So I don't know that I want to show that yet, to be completely honest with you. A lot of good questions here.
And the other thing is, I would very much want, if I'm you, to play the lightsaber on whoever I hit with 5 damage.
Absolutely. I want to wait and see, and a lot of times that does go on Phasma.
Yeah, but that said, you've already activated Phasma, so the lightsaber goes there. You're not going to get to use it this turn.
It's true. It's a real problem. So I want to keep this shield up on Dooku, and I think I'm going to resolve this 2 damage onto Rey.
All right, so I'll lose both shields.
Just want to let you know that that's happening, because I don't see a reroll in my future, given the combos that I'm working out here.
Sure. I will go ahead and spend a resource and resolve Han's die with a jetpack for 5 damage on Captain Phasma.
That is usually how it goes, especially since she's got the upgrades at this point.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the other option there obviously is Dooku, but Dooku is just such a harder target to kill, and I want to get those dice off the board.
So then I'll go ahead and play this Enrage, do 1 damage to Dooku, and take a resource.
Okay. And had I like last action, done a damage with Rey instead and sat on the Han dice, which I wouldn't because you could potentially just control my dice.
Yeah, you don't. It could be a deflect. It's a real bummer.
Now Dooku would be a very prime target.
Yeah.
Because you have 1 card in hand, you have 3 resources. I'm starting to suspect you have a lightsaber or some big attachment to play.
It's such a simple difference in the order of play here that changes the entire game.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I'll go ahead and resolve Rey's die against Phasma for another damage.
All right, you got it. She's hurting already. I'll go ahead and pay 3 to throw this on Dooku.
The Dukes.
A lot of times it is better to put it on Phasma, but in this particular situation, I just really want to get that die in, and I want to hopefully get some damage.
And your promotion's showing a +1 damage, so you could easily hit me for a lot of hits here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm out of dice. I'm out of resources. I have 1 card in my hand. Very few options. I could potentially have like a 0-cost ambush reroll in my hand. I don't think you're going to pass or not claim the battlefield here, so I'm going to pass and not claim the battlefield.
Rather than just like checking out of the round and making it very easy for me to do whatever I want, you are going to stay in the game because you do have 1 card showing, which could be any number of control options.
But it's a data pad.
Could make me super nervous. Oh, and that's exactly what we were thinking we might get. All right, so Dooku provides.
All right, so at this point, you have no cards in hand. You have dice showing. I know what you can do. I'm going to go ahead and claim the battlefield.
Yep.
Check out of the round. I will get a holdout blaster, and I will put it on the top of my deck.
Throwing it back on top. And then you're checked out of the round, so I'll just resolve these as I please.
That was a good roll.
Yeah, really good. 1 to get a resource for Dooku. You have 1 card. I could do a discard, but of course, I would rather resolve 4 damage as my next action.
Really?
So spending 1 resource here to resolve this, and I can add any amount of modifiers to that. So I'm going to add this modifier and take 4 from you. Onto Rey.
You don't want to do Han?
People talk about it sometimes, but no, never. And then these dice, unfortunately, are going to do nothing for me, so they'll go away, and we'll go to the next round.
Okay, so we'll ready everyone have the chance to discard any number of cards we want, and draw back up to 5. I will think about keeping this data pad or not. And gain 2 resources, of course.
Gain 2 resources.
I'm going to get rid of the data pad.
All right.
Because I want DL44s and lots of them.
1 card away from that force throw in the opening hand.
Woo.
It's a real bummer.
That would have been strong.
I guess I'm gonna lay out my upgrades like you. I need to get in the habit of that.
All right, so I ended up with the holdout that I put on top, of course. Willpower, which is a strong event, move a damage. Heroism, ability for Han to soak some damage for his
So good.
Friend, potentially other relations. Scavenge, this is a secret tech card.
That's secret tag? That is secret tag, isn't it?
You know when the best time to draw scavenge is? And the last
Anytime.
5 cards of your deck.
That's true.
I realized that. I had no cards in deck, and it was like, pay 0, put an upgrade from your discard pile into your hand.
Yikes.
And then, of course, Mind Trick, which is the secret control card waiting to happen.
All right, well, you control the battlefield since you claimed it last turn, so it's all you.
All right, so this is actually a relatively difficult decision. So I could put the holdout blaster on Rey and not get rid of the gyro robe, spending my resources, get my 2 actions, gain my shield on Han. I prefer to have resources for Han's dice, particularly for his damage. He could easily roll enough damage here to get rid of Phasma, especially if you don't have control. So I'm going to upgrade the gyro robes. I'm just going to drop the robes off.
All right.
And we're going to upgrade to a holdout blaster.
Let's get the counter. So that is ambush, so you get 1 action off of that, and then you have 1 for Rey's ability as well.
And
so
Han's going to get a free
2
shield.
actions.
All right. And now I am going to activate Han.
Okay. And now this gives you an ability. Now if you roll dad mode here, like that could
I could just
pretty much be the
knock out Phasma, yeah. So, and that's part of the importance of upgrading Han, because he gets way powerful once Rey's out and he has stuff on.
Yeah. Okay. That's not awful. That's pretty good, actually. Quite good.
So, it could have been better, but good enough, honestly.
You have 1 action left.
Yeah, let me think about this. So I got to worry about control a little bit.
Surely not.
Let me look at the old options here. I'm going to go ahead and resolve 3 on Phasma.
Okay.
To threat. I don't want you to control that die.
Whoa, stop the tape. Hey there, this is Steven here in the booth. I'm watching this game and I noticed that I only took 2 damage here on Phasma instead of 3. An honest mistake, but a good reminder that we should all pay very close attention to the board and make sure that we and our opponents track things accurately. So again, sorry to Zach and everybody watching, and let's get back into this. Yeah, that is a very, very good thing to do. And that leaves me with, so that is Zach's 2 actions that he claimed up for the Han Rey combo party. So now I'm left with a weird choice. I've got 7 health. So if I take 4 more, I'm out with Phasma. Rey could, again, attach another attachment and do some things. You can't do that, I know that, which is helpful. But I would be worried about that potential, but you're only down to 1 resource. So I kind of like just trying to get Phasma's die at least relevant this round. That way, if you do start to roll damage that is potentially threatening to me, I can hopefully get some value out of those dice before they go.
And you have a force
also have a force throw waiting.
So the faster that holocron gets on special, the faster you're happy.
So I will activate Phasma here. I don't want to waste the time on the promotion because, you know, she could just be dead before that matters.
Very much so.
Have a couple of focus here, so that's going to let me put some pressure on other kinds of ideas that I might do. So I could flip this holocron to a nice side and then get the force throw going on. I could roll in Dooku and then flip to melee damage. So I could potentially kill Rey here too. I gotta watch this.
Gotta watch out. All right, you good?
I'm good. It's over to you.
I'm gonna play Scavenge. Now, I won't play this when we're on your battlefield and I still need hyperspace jump, because getting to Jakku is really important for the late game, particularly with Han and second chance and be able to really chain stuff out. So I'll discard the top 3 though, and we'll see what happens.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh,
and now I can put an upgrade from a discard pile in my hand. I will grab a data pad, and it'll be your turn.
All right, and now the pressure is yet again on, so I've got to worry about all sorts of stuff here. All right, let's show some tricks. I think I like the idea of showing some tricks here. Let's go ahead and do it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to play Tactical Mastery.
That's promotion.
Promotion.
Close.
Tactical Mastery.
They look similar, as you might imagine.
So pay 1, and that's going to give me
double actions.
Double action, so I now have 2 actions to spend. So the first action is going to be Sith Holocron. It's going to become a special, courtesy of Phasma's focus. So I resolve the focus, and that is going to leave me with a special here.
All right.
So that's my first action. So now my second action is going to be resolve the Holocron. That's going to, and this is important, I really want to safeguard this Holocron as one part of it. If Phasma dies, this is my last chance at Holocron unless I claim Jakku. So I want to get this Holocron into hand and get it over to Dooku for the late game. So that Holocron is going to come back to hand, and it's going to allow me to swap in Force Throw.
Seems efficient.
Now, I can pay 1 to roll Force Throw into this pool. If it is the special, I'm still resolving specials from when I started resolving the Holocron, so I could immediately resolve it. I think that's worth a chance for me, even though I have to worry about the fact that there's a lot of 1 resource plays over here.
Yeah, absolutely worth getting that die in the pool.
So I'll go ahead and get the Holocron in the pool. We'll pray for rain.
Speaking of rain,
help me out.
Going to downtown. There it is. Oh, 2 disrupt.
Resource.
Seems
so it's not going to let me continue to chain out those specials, but I at least am showing some resource, and I will pass it back over to Zach.
Okay. Let's think about life here. So I need to do 4 damage to have Phasma meet her untimely end. Which I would like to have happen. You know what I mean?
But not a lot of, yeah, there's some options here.
All right, I am going to upgrade Rey with a data pad.
All right, that gives you Uno action because there is no ambush on that die.
And that's risky because Rey is starting to get to like potential damage territory, but I'm hoping to combo out next round, which we will see. So then I will go ahead and activate Rey.
And we just gotta hope that nothing bad happens here.
Nothing
really
bad
bad happened.
No.
That's good. All right, excellent. So now I'm looking at this pool. There's a part of me that wants to reroll here because I feel like I'm on the clock with Phasma. So if I can go ahead and reroll into Force Throw, that really just puts a lot of pressure on you, Zach. And you may not have any shenanigans left to get those extra actions. So I really want to try to get that in the pool. You're not showing any, you're showing one resource. I don't think I want to waste the disrupt on that. So I'm now looking at, I think I'm just going to chuck this promotion.
Seems good. You can always get your upgrades back with Jakku.
And now I could also, there's a part of me that wants to keep this +1. There's also a part of me that wants to make it a focus or a resource, so I have access to Feel Your Anger, given that you're showing 2 blanks.
Hopefully we'll not be showing those for
So I'm going to reroll all 3 of these. And we got the force throw and a couple of blanks.
At least we got that force
So
throw.
at least we got the force throw, and that is going to really have an impact on this game, as force throw always does.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so I will go ahead and, so what I don't want to do here is reroll into a 3 that you can then force throw.
You don't?
No, I'd rather not. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the 2 shields on the jetpack and put them on Rey. And this is going to both remove a die that you could throw at me while also giving her a little extra staying power. And that's, at this point, there's still a 2 showing on Rey's die that you could throw at me. I don't care if that die goes away so much. As we talked about earlier, her die is not exactly lighting the world on fire. But, I'd be fine with 2, right? Because I'm still 6 away from going to the Funky Town.
Yeah, you've got plenty of time. So I'm going to go ahead and...
Here comes the Dukes.
I will go ahead and put the holocron on Dooku. Get that going. That's another potential resource or focus side in the pool. So I may as well get that going. And I'll pass it back up.
And again, I'm not wanting to re-roll into things that would be good for that force throw that's showing. So
isn't it crazy how it changes the game?
It's so
you
good.
just have to stop
so good.
trying.
So I'm going to use the data pad, use a special, and I'm going to turn this 2 on Rey into a discard.
Okay. All right. Look
and
at you.
I basically can turn a die to any side that's not showing damage.
And now if you turn something to a special, you could immediately resolve it. And I was kind of worried about that with the jetpack because I know I have melee damage coming in. So, well, I guess it's time to get Dooku in here because I can't play any cards out of my hand. And we got some damage. We got a lot of blanks. So that 1 discard that Zach is showing is really going to cause me some trouble.
Yeah. And because of that, I'm going to, I know you have 2 cards left. I don't know what they are technically.
They're both good.
But I'm going to use Rey's die and go ahead and discard it.
Take your favorite.
This one.
All right, feel your anger.
I
guess
can
it's
feel
all
it.
water under the bridge at this point. Okay, so that leaves me here with a whole lot of dice that are doing a
And
whole
you're
lot
showing
of
the
nothing.
special on the holocron, so if I can take a chance to strip out a potential force upgrade, I would there.
All right, it's time to reroll, Zach.
Yep.
We gotta pray for rain here.
Playing dice up.
That's right. Okay, this is significantly better.
Yeah.
This is called, what do we call this? We call this dad mode in the business?
Dad mode.
Call it 8 damage showing.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to deal with that.
So I'm looking across, and you're out of cards. So what you have is definitely what you're playing with. You can do 6 currently. Rey has 8 with shields remaining. You can also throw something at me, so potentially 7. Rey is not in threat range of being taken out.
Oh yeah.
As far as I know. Right? 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, there is 8. Exactly enough.
And who knows what that force throw could bring. Could even do 1. I could throw my shield into you.
That's right. So I'm going to go ahead and take some options off your board. I'm going to play Heroism, and I'm going to remove
There's really no good options. It's great.
just the 2 ranges on Phasma, and I'm going to take those on Han. So he loses shields, and hopefully get to divide your damage.
All right. So you took it. Now this gets interesting for me. So I could really switch focus here. Now, I hate doing this. I honestly...
Which is what I ideally want you to do,
In terms of
right?
Destiny, like the one thing that consistently seems to be the wrong idea is changing your target, right? I've got 4 on Rey already. But I'm looking at a wide open Han here, and you've got no resources, you've got 2 cards in hand, you're not threatening much. You can waste a Han die on a resource, leave a couple of blanks. I could potentially get 6, as much as 7 damage on Han here. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so tough, guys. This is really a tough call. Well, you know what? Let's...
And see, by taking away the Dooku die there, you
have to split it over time.
You have to split it over time, which is kind of the goal.
Let's go 2 to Rey.
All right. So she'll lose her 2 shields. And the problem with Force Throw 2 here is I have cards left.
Yeah.
I could technically let
Reroll,
you roll
baby.
your stuff, right? I could re-roll. if you ever clock out of the round. But I think you are okay passing, so I don't get to trigger the battlefield. And so I'm ultimately not going to sit around and wait. I'm going to go ahead and get a resource with Han.
Solid. Let's do 2 more to Rey.
Boop, flip. All right, so you can do 3 more showing. It's not worth it for me to reroll. I'm going to go ahead and pay 1 for a willpower.
Boom.
I'm going to move 1 from Rey to Captain Phasma.
Taken.
Phasma down to, what is that, 3 health?
3 health, yeah. Man, I think I might want that shield more than I want to damage on you. That's a tough question. Let's do, and I've got to
We're here to ask the tough questions.
I've got to hold that force throw to make sure that you don't get a reroll into damage that's going to kill Phasma.
That is right.
So I'm going to go ahead and lightsaber Rey for 2.
Okay. And I will pass.
Yes, you pass. So now this is where it gets weird. So if I resolve this force throw to do 1 to you, you can chuck and reroll. If I take a shield, you have to pass, and then I can claim the battlefield.
If you take a shield, I probably claim the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you're right on that. So either way, you're going to claim the battlefield. And I've got to look, is 1 damage worth the risk of a whole lot more damage coming to me?
No, there is an option for me not to
Courtesy
claim the
reroll.
battlefield.
That
which
is true.
You can pass.
That is true.
End
Right
of
now.
round. No one gets the battlefield. I don't get a holdout blaster.
But you maintain control, which means you still go first.
Yeah.
And I don't like that at all. Oh, man. You know what? I don't
Gonna
want you to
pass?
have another holdout blaster.
Which, to be fair, I don't have a holdout blaster in my discard
what do you
pile.
have in there? Jedi robes and stuff?
The robes.
The robes.
Technically second chance. That's actually probably why you shouldn't have gone after Han.
Yeah.
Because I claim second chance, and
right.
now I put 1, and you're nowhere near getting
I knew there was a reason I had rules.
Yeah, there was a reason for my beliefs.
So at this point, the question is 1 shield worth you getting an attachment on the top of your deck? So I might want to look through here if I'm playing professionally, whatever that means. And it's like, dude, I'm totally fine with you overriding a holdout blaster for a Jedi robes right now. Right? Like, I have no problem with that.
Which I'm fine with too, because I get a shield and the holdout blaster back in my discard pile, which is the way I loop it.
That's right. You don't have any. See, the thing is, you don't have any ambush upgrades in here. I'm going to take the shield and just roll the dice here. So I'm going to take the shield here, put it on Phasma.
Okay.
Resolve shield dice.
I'm going to claim the battlefield, and I am not going to put a Jedi robes on top.
So I made the right call, basically, is what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then that's all.
I'll force throw a blank at me.
I'll throw a blank at you.
All right. All right, end of round, 2 more resources, and now we're getting to the thick of it. And this is really where the games, for Han Rey at least, tend to turn. Getting damage on Rey, very, very normal. The real question is, if I can remove Phasma before
I can
Rey's
remove
gone,
Rey, yeah.
it gets really hard for you to actually deal with Rey. And this is also when I actually want this mind trick.
I've got some fascinating options here. Best defense at this point is really fascinating because it will allow me, you can maybe get really close. Phasma has 1 left, and I can go ahead and take some die off the table for the trouble. So that will, you've got some good options here. I like that you don't have any shields for that repost.
Yeah, that is good news bears for you.
Your deflect is going to potentially come in very handy against this Phasma roll-in. You get another jetpack, which is always incredible on Han. A lot of good options, and
Yeah,
I have a little bit of control, but it's going to cost me for sure.
Yeah, and you have a lot of upgrades for that holocron, which is good because you might be able to get 1 and roll. So the lines I'm looking at here ultimately, if Rey is going to go away here, my greatest fear is tactical mastery.
Yeah.
If you can get rid of her when I'm not expecting it, I don't have this chance. But I ultimately want the lightsaber to replace the data pad.
Absolutely.
At the last moment. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or I could put it in now, right? Guarantee that I get it, have the extra damage to roll with Rey. But I am very into saving my resources for deflect and mind trick.
Good choices.
Again, because if I can just buy a turn with Rey,
good.
it's really good, and we'll see what happens. So I'm looking, and I think my best option, again, Rey could easily just go away. Resources with Han, I need to do, what are we at here? 4 total to Phasma, is that right?
You do 4.
Tricky.
She's weird, but 11 health, right?
She is weird, yeah.
And you thought that ability was turned. It is turned off.
It is.
It's not about the ability.
The die is basically Dooku's die, right?
Exactly. And when you have one set out, sometimes the abilities aren't the only thing you're looking at.
Yeah, I think my play here is I want to get Han into the pool because he has a chance at actually removing Phasma and forcing you to control my dice.
Force me to do
so
something.
I'm going to roll Han.
And just don't get it. Oof, that is exactly it.
4 and a 2 resource smash. Disrupt. So pretty good roll. And from what I can see on your hand now that I'm looking at it, I'm not sure that you have an out.
I do have an out, Zach.
Do you?
Yeah. All right, so...
You have an out. You can best defense.
Yeah, we're going to best defense this. This is my only last saving grace at saving Phasma is actually damaging Phasma, which is just fascinating. So let's do pay 1.
Best defense is strong.
For best defense, I'm going to take 3 damage. So
it has to be a right character.
2, 3. So that puts me at 10 health. I get to remove 2 die, and I'm going to remove both of Han's die, leaving a +2.
Now,
is there a better option?
The thing, which is in play if you knew my hand, is that Phasma has 1 health left. If I have a deflect in my hand,
technically could deflect.
I can deflect my own jetpack.
That is true.
Which, looking at my hand, I have.
You do have that. So this is one of those moments in a game, if you're playing in a tournament environment and you're like getting really serious into the game.
That's where you can learn.
This is a good learning experience. So I think I will take your advice.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go ahead and remove both of those. Play to the deflect, and then say, well, 2 resources, that's fine. You can waste time dealing with those.
Absolutely. And I think that's easily in a game, you could miss that. And you lose Phasma, and the whole tempo of this game is just like...
It just changes
crazy different.
Dramatically.
So in this case, I need to do 1 to Phasma, and I think the best way to give myself a shot to do that is to roll Rey in.
Yeah.
I have 2 shots here to roll 1. I have 2 here to roll the range damage. It also gives me more dice on the board to potentially re-roll before you can start force throwing my face in.
It's true.
I'll activate Rey.
All right, Rey on.
All right.
Got the 1 damage.
Got the 1. And again, across several dice, I had the opportunity to roll the 1. And as you can tell with this Han Rey deck, what I'm consistently trying to do is force the tempo. I am making my opponent respond to me, which is so characteristic of an aggro deck.
Absolutely. And so
now I had a shield.
Now,
where were the Jedi robes? I made a mistake.
It looks really. And imagine if I had attacked Han instead of Rey there that last turn, you'd have had 2 to throw with riposte.
Yeah, and removing shields in any
for
factor
riposte is important.
Is important. I remove them for you, but
so
important.
This is where things get really actually pretty cool. So I want to get this holdout blaster on Phasma because I want that to redeploy over to Dooku so that I don't lose those opportunities. So the best way to do that is probably just to replace Force Throw. I know that we have damage showing. I know that Phasma is going to bite the dust, so I can play it for free or I can pay 1 for it. I think I'd rather play it for free.
And the trade-off there too is that you could pay 1 for it, roll in,
yes,
and force me to get rid of Phasma now.
But I think you're a fool if you don't get rid of Phasma now. So I'm going to play to that.
Particularly when you have a resource open, I don't think I can risk that die.
All right, so holdout blaster, that is ambush, so I get to take an additional action. It's going to redeploy over. Because it's going to redeploy, I really don't want to roll Dooku in right now. So I might go ahead and roll Phasma in anyway.
Just to threaten.
Just to give you the threaten. Or my other option is to go ahead and replace Kylo's from the normal lightsaber and try to prevent any kind of shielding shenanigans you might do. It's a much stronger upgrade, I think, on the whole. It's what I'm looking for right now, which is just a bunch of damage. Or I could throw a Force Choke in here instead of the lightsaber. And I wonder, really, what the best choice is here.
Honestly, I think rolling Phasma in, you still have the chance to upgrade the lightsaber if you want. I think the card in hand for reroll is actually more important.
It does feel right.
Because the lightsabers are going to be similar, and you have Jakku, so you can get it back if you really need to get that shield going.
All right, let's roll the Phasma in there. A nice roll that probably isn't going to matter. I'll make these all nice for you. And there's that.
All right, so options here. I can remove Phasma from the board.
If you don't, I get a shield.
Which
so
is,
it's like,
is a problem. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend my 1 melee damage on Phasma, go ahead and remove her from the board.
Holdout Blaster goes over. That's going to help save some resources for me. And now I am going to be looking at, and this is actually going to turn out to be probably bad because it gives you that deflect target. Now, important to note, so this is super interesting how this works.
It is.
If an upgrade gets redeployed, the question has always been, does the die stay in the pool or does it reset back to the upgrade? Zach, do you know the answer to that?
I do know the answer.
Tell
so
me.
it depends on the manner in which it's getting moved around, right? So redeploy actually reattaches it as though it's being played from your hand to the character.
Okay.
So when that happens, the die goes from the pool and it follows the upgrade. So if the character hasn't activated, you'll get to roll it back into your pool. Now, if it's something like One with the Force and it actually just stays in play, it doesn't move over.
It becomes a support.
The die actually stays in play.
Yeah.
So when you can spend it, you can reactivate it, re-roll it again, and it's a very efficient way to get a lot of stuff going with that One with the Force. Great card.
All right, so you resolved your melee damage. I am wanting to, and these will get removed.
Yeah,
I am
all
wanting
Phasma
to get the party going at this point. I want to get Rey off the board if at all possible. So
And this is where, so earlier I could have easily played a jetpack on Han, on Rey, not had the resources to then do what I'm about to do.
all right, so we have some options here,
Good news bears, really.
and that holocron is going to be actually pretty nice.
That is the
Nice thing.
the threat.
So there we go. So I don't have a threat on Rey right now, which is really what I was looking for. So Zach's going to have a little bit more freedom in how he resolves all of this.
Yeah, so a couple of things here. I have some good options. You're showing the special. I could discard a random card, try to get any force upgrade abilities out of your hand. I could smash your resources so that you can't roll it into your pool. The option I like the best at this moment, because I don't know what you're going to roll, is actually a mind trick. You've got 5 dice showing, so I'm going to pay 2 for a mind trick, and this is exactly when you want this card.
Yeah.
And you have 5 dice, so one of your stacks is probably going to end up with 3 dice in it, which means for 2, I'm getting to remove 3 dice. That is such a good exchange.
It's such a good deal. And so whenever I look at this, so in my head, I'm starting to think about what is the highest value things for me, and I want to put them in the lowest stack. So like, I think this is important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because you have 2 upgrades sitting there.
I really don't want this because I think at this point I'm already playing around the deflect, so it's not really synergizing well here. I like the lightsaber just being in the pool because it has a lot of damage on it. It can potentially synergize with the melee damage. But I also, if I do this, then how powerful is this really? So I probably roll in. Can you crack my resources before I'm able to roll in a force choke? Because like I'm put on the clock. So really, I feel like this kind of a spread is actually pretty good for me. So it's like a lightsaber in Dooku versus holocron in Dooku is about equal in my mind, and then this kind of gives you the bait of like, yeah, I should probably take
This is the
3
stack you want me to pick, because you don't want me to get rid of the holocron.
No, I do not want to get rid of the holocron.
Such a good trade.
And I could also start to look at maybe moving to something like this. My concern with that is that lightsaber really revolves around having other melee damage in the pool, and if Dooku's not also in the pool, it's just less good.
Yeah. So assuming that's how you're going to divide it, I definitely will get rid of the 3 dice.
Yeah,
here.
let's just do that. And that it's so tough to do those mind tricks. I always feel like I do them wrong.
One of my favorite cards to play.
just gotta
because
do it.
your opponent has to really think, which is so just thematic. It's like really racking their brain.
Just got to do it and move on. Okay, so I'm with 1 resource. I'm going to resolve this holocron.
Okay.
And
at this point, super nice because you get the card back in your hand.
yes, actually tough choices. So force choke, strong choice. Guaranteed 1 damage past shields. Dice control at this point in the game is going to be pretty important. Force training, also good. Plus 2 melee damage, pretty solid. But I'm going to go with a force choke on this one.
And I have some potential just thoughts to throw by you there. One thing that is notable about the force choke, the only way you're going to get to remove Rey this turn with this option is to roll the 2 damage on Dooku and the special on the force choke. If you'd chosen the force training, you would have to roll the +2, which is less likely than the force choke and the Dooku. So
and I like the control too.
I like that choice. And are you going to pay 1 to roll it in?
I'm going to pay 1 to roll it in because with the holocron, I'm resolving specials. So I resolve the holocron special. Now, if I do get the force choke special, which I don't, I can resolve that as well. So it at least gives me some options to make that happen.
Okay. And again, my number 1 objective here, step 1 was getting rid of Phasma, which I accomplished. Step 2 is not losing Rey. I am
Looks pretty reasonable.
I have a holdout and 2 of the DL blasters left, so I have so many just chained things I can do with Rey. So I'm going to do everything I can to protect her. So I'm going to go ahead and spend a resource spin that die and get a shield on Rey, which is going to make it, from the dice you're showing, impossible for you to actually remove her.
Impossible. And that leaves me looking at, really, I want better sides on both of those die. I want to at least start to move towards my win condition. I'm going to go ahead and discard this holocron, which is going to be completely useless to me now.
Yeah.
To try to get something better, and I'm really not expecting much, but
hey, that's
force
good.
choke's a force choke. I'll take it.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and resolve Rey's die before
you
can do anything with it. To get rid of a die or a card and give you less reroll options, and discard to prevent damage.
There's that. Now I had an option there to play force training over the holdout blaster instead. I'm very happy that is how this turned out, actually, because I wanted that force training to come into the next round. Well, let's go ahead and change Han.
Choices, right? So you can do another damage to Rey, unblockable.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get a change. You can change my data pad to special for me if you'd like. The Disrupt 2 isn't really doing anything. I'm probably going to re-roll. So I wonder if you shouldn't pass here.
Yeah, I think I like the pass as well.
Okay.
If I pass and you pass, though, this is a pretty good turn for you. That's kind of what I'm looking at as well. You could get more out of it, but you maintain control of the battlefield. You don't get to put something on top, which is kind of nice. So questions abound.
Yeah, honestly, if you pass, I probably pass.
Yeah.
Because I can re-roll, but you get a damage and get a change. So I'm down a card. Now I have to be down another card.
I'm going to just overwrite.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be able to come into next turn. So now, if you want to do something, that's fine. I still have an option to control it with Force Choke, and I can claim the battlefield if you don't.
And so now your range damage is gone. None showing that I can see, so I'm going to discard Deflect to re-roll, and we'll go ahead and just get both these back in.
You may as well. Oh, well, that looks
Same
familiar.
song,
So now we're in the same situation. That's a bit of a bummer again. You know, the max that you're looking at is what? 2 from Han. Maybe you get the data pad resource as well to make it 3 from Han. I've got no cards to prevent that damage, which is a real problem. And you've got 3 cards over there. I'm going to pass.
Okay. And this is a really tough call, but I'm going to discard a riposte.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't done the choke yet?
Nope.
And you passed? I'm going to pass.
Yeah. All right.
Because I would rather not take that damage. Again, number 1 priority is Rey.
Keep Rey alive.
So riposte here is curiously questionable. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it. I think if you can't reasonably expect to play a card on a turn, it's hard to hold on to it because you need all the cards in Casterly Rock that you want.
Okay, this is good. So now I'm actually starting to draw into my control at the right time. Best defense is dead right now. D817 is pretty much dead. So these will go to like shields or rerolls. But use the force and double deflect here could start to change the pace of this game to me, which is really what I'm looking for right now.
Sure. And so what I'm looking at, I drew a DL, 44, which is good for me. I also drew one with the force.
You love that on Rey, and that's really solid.
So ideally here, I want to end up with one with the force on Rey. I already have the redeploy asset here. I think the problem with DL is that you want to wait till your opponent has dice in the pool.
Absolutely.
So I have some considerations.
And you have to go first. So I get to watch you rack your brain while I sit over here on my 2 deflects that hopefully will be a surprise. Maybe take Rey off the board early.
And I haven't seen a deflex yet, so you have to be suspecting that is heavily an option, especially with as much range damage as is kind of in the game right now.
There's a lot right now. A whole lot. I'm looking at Han's die. I'm looking at that jetpack. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and I really like on the idea that Rey may very well not be on the board at the end of this round.
Yeah.
I like having the jetpack here in case the holdout blaster moves over to Han. Being able to upgrade into a holdout, loop holdout back with Jakku is really strong.
Yeah, overriding with that jetpack. Actually, you have a plethora of great options here.
Yeah, it's kind of the problem.
It's a sign of a deck.
So I don't have any good control left, and I think the real option I do have here is I can play a lightsaber on Rey, replace the data pad, and know that both those assets are going to move over.
Do you really need a lightsaber on Han though? You know.
Well, that's the trick, though, right? I can replace the lightsaber with the DL, I can replace the holdout with a jetpack. And if you have a Han that has jetpack, DL,
Oof.
he can do so much damage.
It's crazy.
So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade. I don't have any control in my hand, so I don't need to save resources for anything. And I'm going to signal that pretty strong. But I'm going to upgrade to a lightsaber with Rey. It's going to give her even more damage options.
All right.
And I have one more action left, so nothing too crazy yet. It also, another chain I have is I can upgrade the lightsaber into the DL.
Yep.
Potentially upgrade back to a lightsaber.
Yeah.
So that if she does go away, but that'll give me the 2 actions where I can roll Han in and resolve. So I'm going to go ahead and roll Rey in.
All right. Okay.
Which is really good, actually.
Got money.
Money for days. And a +2 range, which,
Got nonsense.
which is going to be important.
Okay. Whale. I'm looking at that, and so I could deflect that +2, but I really think these are going to have a big impact. You're showing a lot of plus on the jetpack, and what I will presume is more to come. So I'll do Dooku here. Not knowing fully that you have that DL44, you may opt to use that and take one of my die away.
All right.
Dooku's just making it rain over here.
All right, and again, I'm wanting to get as much out of Rey as I can while I can. So I'm going to go ahead and spend both of these to gain 2 resources,
Money in the bank.
which will both threaten die control and give me additional options.
Okay, Whale. Where does that leave us? I think I like having that force choke on the board. I honestly, 6, 7, that gets super interesting.
All the damage.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and resolve focus. I'm only going to use one of Dooku's focus. I don't have to resolve everything in the pool. And I'm going to flip this up. And that is going to give me 3 unblockable against Rey, which is basically putting the clock on Zach to say, I can kill you at any moment past those shields. What do you do now?
Better get it done. So I'm showing the +2 range on the holdout, which I really like. Effectively, I can play the DL on Rey, replace the lightsaber, and I get 2 actions, right? So I can roll Han in, resolve damage, and potentially do a lot to you all at once. You're also going to have to remove a die now because of that, which I think will be that force training. If I'm thinking
force training.
But then depending on what I roll with Han, again, it's a 3 cost, so I still have the resources to upgrade to him with force, which you can resolve both specials, so I want to do that before
That's where
her going away. You also have 2 resources. This is tough.
just got to rely on the dice here. This is the beauty. I mean, this is the beauty of Destiny, ultimately.
It is. So I'm gonna do a couple things here. First off, I'm gonna replace the DL here.
All right, so that gives you 1 extra action for ambush and 1 extra action for Rey.
And a shield on
that's
Han.
2 actions.
And then I'm gonna, actually, you know what? I'm gonna back this train up.
Ooh,
Back
yes.
it up. Back it up.
Test it out.
Because the problem is that
That's exactly the problem.
if you do get rid of Rey, which you will,
You don't have one with a force that can just sit around on the board and ruin my day.
I would rather have these upgrade to Han before rolling Han in.
Right.
Which is kind of
Wouldn't you?
the conundrum here. So what I like as an option here actually is
I like that a lot.
I'm going to upgrade the holdout.
So would you rather have the holdout or the lightsaber over on Han?
Well, the trick is I know I'm going to replace the lightsaber with the DL.
Important to remember.
So I want the higher resource cost thing there because that'll transfer to Han. So I'll pay 2, and we'll put a 1 with a force on Rey, and now you have the option of either removing her or not. And if you do, both of those things are going to kick in.
I 100% want to remove her, and the
this is good to
reason
go.
that I do
Risk it.
I don't want you to get extra actions. I'm sitting on 2 deflects, so I feel confident in my ability to handle whatever it is that Han rolls in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So resolve specials. I'm going to resolve force choke. Do 1 unblockable to Rey, and let's just throw that holdout blaster's gone. Let's just throw her die to a blank, just as an added kind of like Dooku special, and then we will resolve the second special, which is 2 unblockable damage to Rey.
So Han will pick up the lightsaber, Rey will go away. And now, had the 1 with the force been in play at that time, the die would stay. Then when I use it, it comes back. Then I can activate it again.
Yeah, that nasty. It's
Which is
crazy.
Okay, and this die will go away as well. All right, so now the question becomes, you have 2 dice left with a focus. I actually wouldn't mind seeing you spin the focus to get something else and then removing
And then
your die.
removing it, yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and roll one with the force in.
Okay.
And hopefully get to the resource crash. Instead,
you get the opposite.
got money.
You got money. Okay, so I'm looking at that, and I mean, that does look pretty tasty to focus that force training, but what would I do? I'd probably focus it. Now, what I could have done, and probably the best play, knowing how all of this is going to resolve, should have used that focus last time with a string of focus, but turned it into a special, resolved all three at the same time.
Yep.
But these are things that you can't really rewind, it's like you just gotta play around with these options. I also have one with use the force, so I could potentially use the force, flip that force training up to something and leave things kicking, or I could just do a straight up reroll, see if I can get better dice on both of those, because I do know that DL44 is ever present. Is there any in your discard pile? No. So this is where if I'm actually in a game, I'm probably thinking this is a pretty strong possibility. He wanted the lightsaber over. So I think I will do a reroll, but I also want to save cards for shields.
Yeah.
So let's just see what happens. Let's do a reroll here. Okay.
Seems
Better than
okay.
it was.
Okay, so now that you have done that, I'm going to go ahead and replace the DL here, which will remove a die.
And that says after you play it, you force someone to choose and remove one of the die. So force training has got to go.
And then to make all of my dice better, I'm going to go ahead and spend this to gain 2 resources.
Yeah.
As my second action.
It's back over to me. Well, how many cards you got in hand? 2. You have plenty of deck left. I could try to start going with Dooku. I could maybe use the force into a discard, start to go that direction with it, but I'm feeling like we're not quite far enough in the game for that to actually be reasonable. So I'm gonna go ahead and resolve this 2 damage against Han.
All right, lose a shield, take damage.
I don't wanna worry about another chained out DL44 to move another die, ambush, that kind of thing.
So the thing I have to really think about here is I could spend my 2 to put the jet back in play and get another chance at a bunch of damage. But the problem with that is that one of the sides on the DL and one of the sides on Han require a resource to even spend.
Yeah.
So statistically, adding this does give me an extra chance at plus damage, but then the odds, especially given 2 resources and potential control, so I'm just going to roll in and save that card for reroll.
Seems very reasonable. And I need you to roll like 1 damage side. That's so perfect for me.
Which I did.
I can't even tell you how perfect that is, guys. It's so perfect.
I am aware of how perfect it is.
All right, so now we pay 1, deflect.
This one I assume?
That 2 damage into Han.
The 2 or the 3?
This, for 2 damage, I should say.
Yeah. Which is a really good exchange for
How about that card being, that is exactly what I needed to kind of get back on top of the tempo of this game.
And having both deflects is just a godsend.
So perfect right now.
I'm going to go ahead and keep acting like I don't know the other deflect is there.
You don't know anything.
This card here.
Who would have 2
reroll
deflects
these
in
2.
hand? Okay. Huh. You've got 1 card left. No way to trigger those. Huh. So I want to save this deflect if at all possible. So I'm going to pass here.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and discard the jetpack and reroll both of these.
All right, that's so perfect.
Didn't get it.
It's so perfect. I have no need to deflect this, so I might get greedy and take 1 damage, but I very much want to hold on to these control cards for the same thing next round. So, given that you have no cards in hand, you're showing nothing that you can do on the table, you have resources but nothing to do with them, I will claim the battlefield.
Okay.
And then I will see if maybe I want to upgrade like a force training or force choke into something else. A force throw is very tempting here to put in over the force choke because that die is bananas.
It's bananas.
I could also go with a Kylo's lightsaber and try to just destroy
Hang me down.
this game. I'm going to go with a force throw. So I'm going to put this on top of my deck.
Force throw be good. All right. And I went ahead and gained resources and readied all my things.
All right, we're ready. We'll gain resources.
Draw back up.
And I need to discard a best defense, which is useless. I will use the force and deflect.
You'd be surprised at how useless the cards I drew are.
Gain a force throw. A dug-in is incredible pulled right now. I mean, this is
just claimed the battlefield.
Literally like the angels coming down and saying, Steven, you are destined to win.
To win this game.
Game.
Odds aren't bad at this point. They're bad for me. All right.
It's amazing
so you're
how
first.
it turns. It's insane. So, first thing I want to do I want to get rid of the force choke or the force training? This is more of a damage option. This is more, so I can go double down on control. Oh man, I don't like the decision I'm about to make. I am going to go with the force training. So I'm going to replace that. It's going to give me the force third die, and that's going to cost me 1 to do.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and get Han rolling before you get that force third die in play.
That is the key, isn't it? And you're just going to flop all these around, no doubt. Oh, look at that deflect, Zach.
Yeah, the double deflect is good at this moment.
Let's go and deflect it.
All right, deflecting the 3 into Han for 2 more.
2 more. It's hard to resist that, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and discard a mind trick. Cannot spot a blue character. We'll reroll here.
All right, rolling the dice. Coming down to the nitty gritty. You got a lot to use the forces.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on the discard. Lots of takesy backsies here. What was this on? I'll just reroll it.
We're playing the old training game.
Reroll it. Ooh, back to resources. That's what it was on. Sweet.
You don't want that, do you?
No.
It's not great. Okay, so I'm going to hold this Dug in because I want to surprise. I want to wait until he thinks that he's got some great opportunity and then throw 3 shields on a Dooku. In the meantime, I can get the force thrower in the pool here. And sometimes you can just dad mode out too. So we've got 3 damage shown there. We've got a nice resource crack, which might matter. We've got the lonely gun, and we've got a discard, which could be important given the rerolls that are coming down to the late game here.
That's right. I'm going to go ahead and roll in 1 with the force, which is what I should have done last time.
And that's a 3 focus waiting to happen. Or instead,
3 resource.
Okay, so what? Man, I don't think you waste that 3 resource on this 1 resource. While I have it, I'm going to straight up do 3 to Han. I can't not take that option.
This is getting real dangerous territory for me. I'm going to go ahead and discard and reroll and pray for rain.
Keeping the +2 in the pool. And got some guns and another crack. That's 4 damage showing. This is when it's a good time for me, I feel like, to play Dug In. So I'm going to go ahead and pay 1 and gain 3 shields.
All right, we'll discard and reroll again. Reroll here.
There's that focus. Now is a really good opportunity for me to potentially reroll and throw some of these control options into my pool. That could get really good because that would mean that you have to use your 3 focus to get Han where you want him, and so I would have an opportunity here. Always discard the cards that you're never going to play. I still could potentially use the force.
Yeah, especially if you roll a resource.
So I'll discard here, and I really don't want, I hate to give up damage here, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and reroll all 3 of these dads.
You really want the force they're special.
Yes. Force choke is fine, and now I'm showing some damage that could be a problem for you, so.
It is a very problem for me.
Get ready for that.
It's a game time problem. I'll spin my focus, and we'll turn Han to a 3 and a 3.
That's 8 damage. So you're at 6, 7, 8. I need to do 2 damage.
That is correct.
Interesting. That seems very easy. Let's do 2.
Absolutely. So you got him.
All right, looky there.
The short there too is that if you don't do lethal damage, my goal is to claim Jakku, get second chance, and like buy myself time. The double deflect literally prevented me from doing damage for 2 turns.
That's the incredible part about the game. Sometimes those kinds of swings are super fascinating. And like having those double deflects at the perfect time. I mean, you draw them at the exact perfect time. And now it would be tempting to use them on maybe that +2 side or even a +3 side. But the power of deflect is in that controlling, and that's why to me getting Rey off the board early is so important. Because you actually have the opportunity to like control things.
Well, and one thing that you may not have caught is that I drew 3 cards there that are spotted blue character.
Yep.
So had Rey been on the board, these are not dead cards. Like a mind trick there, use the force could have easily had the resources to play all of them.
This is why a lot of people say mono blue with Rey is the way to go.
It's really good.
Rey Qui-Gon
or Rey double Padawan,
Rey double Padawan,
or Rey
is
Luke.
really strong. Rey Luke.
So there you have it.
Yeah, there you have it, guys. So that is our a quick all-in format. That is basically how we sometimes like to practice to get a little bit better at Star Wars Destiny and other games. We've done this many times. I got pretty lucky there. That was really nice. But honestly, like this is how the game typically has been resolving for us, at least against these two decks. If I can get Rey off the board relatively early, I think turn 3 is the absolute last chance that you have. If it goes past that, game is over. So if you can't get Rey off the board soon, it spirals out of control, as you can imagine how that would go. So check out our booster box subscriptions if you just want to get booster boxes anytime a set is released and not have to worry about tracking them down and pre-ordering and all that stuff. Don't want to get charged until they're actually shipping and on the way to you or around that time period. Then a subscription is a great option there. And of course, we have Saga sets going on for Spirit of Rebellion, the next set, man.
So excited,
we can just throw all of this out because we got
we've got
a new card pool to work with.
Start over.
And then keep an eye out on singles. Check our site for that. We will be offering that service as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Han Rey versus Dooku Phasma.
Classic.
Who'd have thought?
Classic.
Thank you guys. We'll see you later.
See ya.
That, I swear, like the order of cards that happened in that game.
Deflect was a big deal.
I could not have asked for better. Deflect, and then, at the end, I just like, Dooku was a nightmare at the end there. If I hadn't played around that Deflect.
That was big.
That you had in your hand, I think probably just lose that game.
I also wonder if I should.
Crazy.